What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Zoo. I have a super ambitious idea today. You've probably noticed the waterfall. I've been experimenting with a couple of things off camera, and I think I have just a little bit better understanding of how the game mechanics work now. My ambitious idea is to essentially take the peacocks and the turtles, and also now we have a ton of turtles. They are breeding like crazy. It's honestly pretty cool. I want to take these two exhibits out of this larger exhibit area. I'll make temporary little holding areas for them. They won't be little by any means, don't worry. These animals are not going to be harmed in the making of this new exhibit, but I want to make this flamingo exhibit a lot larger, and I mean a lot larger. So, without any further ado, we're going to click pause here, and let's just get right into it. The first thing we need to do, of course, is make new exhibits for our tortoises. Did I call them turtles? Also, now we have a ton of turtles. They are breeding like crazy. I called them turtles. They're not turtles, you guys. They're definitely tortoises. Tortoises. And then we're also gonna have to make a new area for these peacocks. So I suppose let's just go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do it right over here. I'm gonna start by taking just the hedge fence that we've been using and make a little area. All right, I think that should be plenty big for the tortoises or the tortoise. And then we'll just do a similar thing over here for the peacocks, just like that. And then of course we're gonna need a gate to enter said habitats. Again, just temporary. We will make them a much better area later on. So now with that done, we have to start moving each and every one of these tortoise over into their new habitat. This is going to be very time consuming, so I'm going to go ahead and just move all of the tortoises and the peacocks, and I'll see you guys here in a sec. All right, guys, after many minutes, I have figured out the perfect new, again, I can't say this enough, it is simply temporary. These will not stay over here, and yes, I realize the guests can't go over here and check out the animals. That's totally okay. They don't have to right now. We're sitting pretty at 173,000 buckaroonies over here. I did have to add a temporary transformer just so I could power the heaters that we have in here because, of course, as I'm moving everything, it started to snow, which has luckily passed. But all in all, I think the animals are honestly liking the seclusion. Welfare is at 97% for, I would say, on average, of all of the peacocks. If we come over here to the tortoises, we're looking at about 90% welfare, the lowest being the habitat. It looks like they're lacking hard shelter. I don't know how many more of these I need to place down for that value to go up. I suppose I'll try one more. If that doesn't work, we'll just have to leave it for the time being. Let's plop that one down. We'll hit play, and that brought it up to 61%. So apparently, the tortoises need one area of bedding per tortoise, is kind of what it seems like. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but for the most part, all of the animals are happy being all secluded over there. Now, I went ahead and removed everything that was in this area initially. It's looking pretty good now, but unfortunately, I do have to make a temporary area for our flamingos as well. I didn't really think this through, but most everything that's here right now has to go. So again, I'm going to go into barriers here, and I'm going to place this one actually just behind this other facility area. We'll do something like this. Of course, we're going to have to make sure that we have a staff path that's going to go to the new habitat, or the temporary habitat, if you will. Next, we're going to, of course, give them some water. I believe they need water. I think that's a necessity for them. So I'm just going to build out a temporary little pond here. It is pretty deep, but I think that should work for them. Hopefully they have enough area to walk around there. And now I just have to click on each of our flamingo and get them moved into their new, again, temporary habitat. And just like that, the deed is done. It is going to take some time for the keepers and the veterinarians to actually come into this habitat and move them over into their new space. Again, temporary. I cannot stress that enough. I can just see the comment section now. Why would you move all of these animals over into a different area that's obviously not well suited for them? It's gonna be okay. I can promise you that. But the ideas are just flowing now of what we can do in this area. Now, a lot of our guests here currently are going to leave because we have to get rid of our donation area. We have to completely get rid of our advertisements and our speaker systems, everything like that we had for our flamingos specifically, because the guests will be very, very mad when they find out that their exhibit that they were looking at previously is now empty. And it looks like we got a couple of flamingos coming over into their new habitat. This one's honestly pretty good. I think the only reason that it looks halfway decent is this waterfall that I made off camera. It is absolutely atrocious and doesn't really resemble a natural waterfall whatsoever. But it's a nice little aesthetic piece, you know? I'm sure the flamingos, some of them anyways, appreciate it. Another important thing we're gonna have to make sure we're doing is changing the terrain for these boys and girls in here, the flamingos. They need more soil. Let's get them some soil. There we go. And then they need some rock as well. I did rock around the exterior in the last one. I think I'm just gonna do rock around the waterfall. I mean, it makes sense, but we're gonna need a lot more rock than this. So we'll see how far I actually get. All right, that looks good to me. It doesn't visually look good, but their stats are looking much better now. Let's see if they're happy in here. 89% welfare, that's not too bad. Hard shelter, of course, is lacking because we do have quite a few flamingos. And I believe this one here, our new baby, is the last one. So now we can hit pause again. This habitat should be empty, and we can effectively get rid of this water and completely start over from scratch. And just like that, we have a blank slate to work with here. The first thing I want to do is ditch this barrier. I'm going to try to not use hedges as barriers. I want to do what they consider like an invisible barrier. It's basically where you just have any type of barrier hidden underground and then use wall pieces to simulate a barrier. So we can effectively get rid of this entire thing. We don't need it anymore. I don't know if it's gonna let us. No, it won't let us just straight up delete the whole thing, but it will if we do this. There we go. And now with that done, I think we're gonna get rid of these staff paths here. Keeper out here, if that's what you are, I am so terribly sorry, but you are gonna have to find a new path to walk on, dude. This one is going bye-bye. There we go, that looks pretty solid. And I'm gonna try to use a different tool this time. This is the terrain stamp tool. It basically just stamps out an area of the terrain. So I am going to take this around the outside as far as I can, this whole path here. So we're gonna stick with the same shape, but I think what I'm about to do will probably surprise most of you. So this will be the ground level now of the exhibit. However, most of it's going to be full of water, so it's not really going to matter too much. I suppose we should probably test and make sure that we can actually put water in here. Okay, yes. We can right now, which is good. I don't know if I want to do that first or how this works exactly. Let's try that. And now we can get our barrier wall. I need to use something that's watertight, obviously. Oh, no. There we go. Define the perimeter of a habitat where the barrier isn't needed. River for animals that can't swim. This is perfect. This is exactly what we need to do. So I'm gonna define their barrier as being just inside of the terrain in this area. All right, and there we go. That is our barrier now, I guess, figured out. We'll see, maybe we'll have to change it. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I do know that the main path section we were using, I'm gonna have to extend this quite a bit. So that's gonna be our shape of our zoo now. I wanted to sort of get three-dimensional with this and have the terrain elevation change quite a bit, but for our first zoo I think I'm going to try to keep it as simple as I possibly can, just so I don't have 4 or 5 hours of footage that I have to edit down into a 20 to 40 minute episode. But the area is starting to take shape. Now we're going to need a staff path coming off of here, but it doesn't need to be that wide. Well, that took way too long. I've finally got a habitat door. I did have to get rid of the water because it didn't have enough space on the backside of the door for the foundation of it to actually be laid down. It's not straight, but that's okay. Remember, like I said, I'm trying to do this more organically, more naturally, so a bunch of straight edges are probably gonna look bad, so I'm gonna leave it as it is right there. But as you can tell, we now have an invisible border around the entire new habitat here. This will be habitat number 10. We gotta sort of finish up the terrain here. So I'm going to flatten this area out just a little bit more. That looks pretty good. And now we can just kind of go around the outside and smooth everything out. Okay, next of course is the walls. So like I said, we're going to be using literal walls for this, not just the habitat barriers for the walls. What I want to use is probably this because it has that nice angle, so it'll sort of look like a man-made swimming pool. But of course we need to lower it down just enough so we can get a top cap put on this thing. I'm going to use the line from the terrain as sort of my guide here. And I'm just going to start going all the way around this whole area that's going to be water. That way it looks a little bit more man-made. Okay guys, so after nearly, I think it's been almost an hour now, I finally have something worth showing you guys. This took me literally forever, as I just mentioned, nearly an hour, but as you can see, we have a false wall, if you will, around the outside of the habitat, as well as some water. Now, we couldn't put it at the same height that it used to be, and honestly, I don't think that's a real problem because we'd barely be able to see the actual wall. The wall that took me so long to make, we wouldn't even be able to see most of it. So I feel like the water level being right here is probably a good thing. And then here's the big idea. I wanted guests to have a more immersive experience with flamingos. Obviously, if you were trying to do this sort of borderless idea with, say, I don't know, a lion or a tiger or any large animal like that, I feel like the guests probably wouldn't appreciate that very much, and you may have a pretty good-sized lawsuit on your hands. Now, with that being said, I still don't even know if this area here is well-suited for a flamingo, so we're gonna hit play here. Obviously, the guests are just kind of roaming around at this point. I am going to take one of our fantastic flamingos here, Tycoon, perfect. We're gonna move Tycoon over to habitat number 10. Oh, and she's already pooed. Fantastic, just break it in the new habitat, I like it. Okay, habitat 62%, terrain is very bad. Plenty of water, plenty of land, so that's good. And there we go. Now we have all the terrain sorted out for these guys and girls, which is looking pretty good. Now, I do still want to do this fence, but I'm starting to think maybe I should do a rock formation instead of a fence, just because I am using this rock on the outskirts of their terrain here. So rather than having our rock formation sort of end at the top right here, I'm going to start building it up into a corner section here. It'll go up over the door and then back around this other side and stop over here. Once again, many minutes later, I now have a rock wall surrounding the outside of this exhibit. It turned out way better than I thought, of course. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Is it too symmetrical? Is it too repetitive? Does it not look organic enough? Let me know. I'm super curious on your guys' thoughts, but I decided to make hard shelter, and I'm talking custom hard shelter. I'm not going to be using these pre-made shelters, although they do look really good. I'm not going to be using those, not for the flamingo exhibit. I wanted to give them, I know flamingos don't live in caves, but I wanted to give them 2 caves. And I think it turned out pretty nice. Again, let me know what you guys think. Very curious if you also agree with my decision here. But now with that done, we can check in on Tycoon here. Looks like she has 100% of her hard shelter. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and start moving all of the other flamingos over into there now that we know that it is a good enough habitat. And we can also get their food and water and all of that good stuff moved over to here. Let's hit play so we can actually see the waterfall. Oh, dude, that actually looks really good. Okay, super happy with that choice to move those then. Next, we're gonna need some heaters. So these are set to 48 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about where they need to be, is it not? I'm just gonna duplicate them anyways. There we go. And we can hide these later. I'm gonna leave them exposed for now just in case the temperatures aren't right or whatever. We can go back through and adjust them accordingly. But look at this, you guys. I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. I haven't seen anyone else use a actual rock structure around the door. Oh, hang on a second. We had an animal escape already. We had an animal escape. There we go. I am so sorry. Farada? Yeah, we're gonna need some fences. We're gonna need some fences. Actually, here's an idea. What if we replace this section of barrier with glass? That could be kind of cool. Alrighty, that, much like everything else I've tried to do today, has taken way too long, but we now have a nice glass barrier around the exhibit. I didn't think we were gonna need one, but apparently we had an escapee, and that problem has now been solved. And sort of as these other flamingos show up from that, again, temporary exhibit that we created, their social levels should go up and everything should be looking tip-top for them. But now, obviously, it's looking pretty desolate, looking pretty barren, so I have to go through now and try to make it as visually appealing as I possibly can. So without any further ado, I'll see you guys here in a sec. Okay guys, it's been, I don't know, 2 hours? 2 hours I've spent on trying to get this place as beautiful as I possibly can. Now, unfortunately, everything that I've done is apparently too much for the flamingos, and now the hard shelter is not getting counted towards being hard shelter, so that's, I don't know if that's a bug or not, but I'm gonna just pretend it is. The other thing is we have too much plant coverage now, which is unfortunate. If you guys watched the time lapse, if I ended up doing a time lapse, hopefully I did. I tried many roofs. I really couldn't get anything that I liked a whole lot, so I'm gonna check out the Steam Workshop here in a little while and see if I can't find East Asian looking roof that I can put on top of this. But the actual, like, peninsula itself turned out fantastic. I think it looks really nice. For the hard shelter, it seemed like it was counting hard shelter before I put in the bedding. So we'll see if that helps at all. Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's the bedding. They don't like the bedding. Okay, well, I'll just get rid of the bedding then. And everything should be tip-top, hopefully. Yeah, dude, that was literally it. That's ridiculous. Okay, so getting rid of the bedding, I guess, if you guys have a similar issue, seems to do the trick. Now, something we are missing now, of course, is a donation bin. Grab ourselves a donation bin. I'm gonna put one over here, and we'll do one over here on the backside. Wait. Whoa. What's going on here? What's going on here? Wait, it's about to inbreed. I mean, in our society, that's not good. I don't know why they would care for flamingos. I don't know why that's a problem. Interesting. Okay, maybe it's bad for the offspring, I suppose. But we need more offspring. We need a lot more offspring in order to fill up this area with flamingos. But let me know what you guys think. If I overdid it, if I underdid it, if I took too long to actually get it done. I personally think it took way longer than it needed to, but hopefully the end result is worth it. And aside from the donation bins, I think I'm going to get another screen. We'll grab another education board. I'm gonna put this one over here, plop this one down there, make sure it's set for the greater flamingos, of course. That's looking good. Okay, Taskeen is about to have offspring. And again, this is the one that was inbred. I have no idea what that's gonna do, if that's bad, if that's good. I really am not sure, but I guess we'll wait and see. Here we have a new one. Yeah, see, I don't know what the big deal is on the inbred part of it. Seems fine to me. Another female. The zoo does seem a little crowded. I definitely need to expand some more, but in the following episodes, we'll of course be making a new exhibit for either the peacocks or the tortoise. I'm not sure yet which one I want to do first. Hopefully, those episodes don't take as long as this one took to record. You guys, I'm not kidding when I say I've been recording for a total of 4 hours now. So if that kind of puts things into perspective for you, it's been a long time. It's been a very, very long time, but I do think it's worth it. Got all of our flamingos over here eating, looking good. And since it's been so long since I started recording, I do think I'm going to wind this episode down here. Now, of course, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment to help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.